Recording in progress. All right. Good morning, Shkech Levi, for taking over yesterday. All right. Left off the bottom of Mem Zayin Amud Beis. Today's Mem Ches Moach. Right? So left off at the bottom, Machlekes as to how one acquires something. Does money acquire it, or do you need actual Mashiach or Hagbah, right? You know, when it usually refers to Mashiach as making a physical kinyan, but normally with metaltalin, it's not. You don't pull it. You know, things that are not super heavy. You know, that is by the. Anyways. Mem Zayin Amud Beis. 4 lines from the bottom. Last word of the line. So Tanakh. So, however, they say that he who paid retribution to those in the generations that sinned, he will also go ahead and pay back or give those who have not kept their word. Now, if you say that money makes the kinyan and the guy gives the money, says, I want my money back, so that's why it makes sense why there's a curse at the foul. But if you say the money doesn't acquire it, so my kabbalah, right? So why should he be cursed? If it's ineffective, so he did nothing, right? So our answer is mishum devarim, right? Because his words, in other words, he broke his words. He said he was going to go ahead and buy it. And therefore, because he violated his words, that's the reason why he's cursed. The Gemara says, and just by breaking your word, right, you're going to get cursed. But Tanya, we're learning a Bryce, top of the page of today's daf. Even though we say talis kind of zov, that person goes ahead, he's buying a garment with a golden coin. So even though we say a person makes a kinyan on the garment, then he acquires the gold. However, dinar zavid, if you acquire the gold, talis, you do not go ahead and acquire the garment because money does not pay up the currency is not effective. Become makoim kakalacha, right? And now that's kakalacha. Valamru knows you don't acquire it. Valamru, but they say according to Rabbi Shimon, Misha para meyanshi dar mabu meyanshi dar flag meyanshi sedom v'yamarim mitzrayim v'yam who asli from Misha. No, I made bidiburo. Right, such a person will get paid. In other words, that that Hashem, right, who paid back the other sinners, will also go ahead and pay back this individual, even though the Maisa doesn't kind of, but he'll still be cursed. So and also one who goes ahead and makes a verbal deal, right? Such a case does not acquire and one who goes back on the word. So the other case was he gave the money, now he wants the money back. Over here, he just says, I'm going to buy it. Then he says, doesn't. The rabbis are not happy with him. The Amar Rava, and Rava says, right? But over there, we see that when you break your words, it's not a curse that Mishapara, rather, it's just that the Chachamim aren't pleased with his actions. So you see, there's no curse in just breaking your words. So how could you say before that you get cursed for breaking your words? So the answer is no. If a person gives his word and they have a verbal agreement and there's money given, then he gets cursed. However, just giving your word, I'm going to go ahead and buy it, but there was no giving over money where he says, okay, I'll take my money back. Then he is not within the curse of Al Mishapar.
So only if money was exchanged.
Money exchange, that's where now, according to Reish Lakish, there is no kinyan, and money exchange, and they had a deal. Then he is cursed. Otherwise, ein ruach neichei menu. Omar Rabba says Rabba kra umasnisa mesayla l'rishagish. We have perhaps a pasuk and a brisa in support of Reish Lakish, Rabbi Shimon Lakish. So what is that? So Kra, the pasuk is Daksiv Akikish Bamisa Vikadon Sumas Yad. Oh, Begezel. Oh, I'm trying to pronounce this word properly. Oh, Ashak. All right. Ashak es Amiso. So Gemara says over there. So this is referring to a person who denies an object. He has to make then turns out he's lying. So he has the possession in him. By over there, he has to bring a carbon for lying, in others because he really has the object with him. So we have one pasuk in Vega, pasuk Chaf Aleph. It says, right, and he basically he tried to cover up the fact that he had a pikadon, right, this object or a loan or something he stole, or he withheld wages. So tzumas yad amarav chizak kagon shia. Now over here, now if we're talking about you're holding an object of somebody else's, right? And that's the case. So what's the case of holding an object of somebody else? If I lend Eddie money, so Eddie, give me your watch, right? Or something. I know I need an object. So now they're in that case. So all of a sudden, so then Eddie says, okay, here's the money, where's my watch? And I deny having the watch, right? So over there's an object. But if someone just says, he denies, well, he never had the watch, or he denies payment. So that's not a case where one brings a carbon. A person has to have the item in his possession and then lie about not having it. That's when he's chai for the carbon. So Tzumas, what's the case of loan?
He says you never gave me anything. That's not.
But if he gave him something, so that's the case of doing it, right? So no, so what's the case of Tzumas? Like I just explained, right? In other words, okay, Eddie will say, "Oh, listen, I need $100, and we'll just my watch will be the collateral."
Okay.
And Ashak, and I would say, okay, go ahead and do work for me, and if I don't go ahead and pay you, this will be my collateral for you to go ahead and take. So Vikadre Kra, and then when the pasuk repeats itself, oh, it's a bikadon. So then it repeats it. It doesn't mention at all alone. Right? And this is pasuk Chav Gimel. 2 psukim later, it lists 4 pasuk Chav Aleph, and it lists 3 leaving out the loan. So my time, what's the reason? Why is a person not chayiv in that case? My time, maybe over there, we're talking about a case of a loan. So maybe there was Eddie. I say, okay, Eddie, here's on Jaws. My collateral. Eddie says you can have my watch. I said, okay, I'll take your watch if in case you don't pay me back. But he didn't give me the watch. He just had it by you. It was lacking Mashiach, right? Nevertheless, we see it was lacking Mashiach. So I didn't take it. In other words, I have to have it and deny it, right? How do I have it without Mashiach? It must be, right? Right? I didn't take it. That's why in the passage doesn't repeat it. Because if I didn't take it, if it lacks Mashiach, then I'm not denying an object that I own of somebody else's. Somebody papa, the Rava, who the other crop. So why don't we go ahead and maybe we can learn out from the case of wages? And I was telling him the wages. The case of the wages, they say, okay, Eddie, do some work for me. So Eddie says, well, how I know I'm going to pay you? You're going to pay me also. I said, okay, you can, my Gemara will be your collateral in case I don't pay you cash. Go ahead and take my Gemara, right? So then it says, okay, where's the Gemara? So over there, right? Eddie takes the Gemara, or he has it. So in that case, when I say, okay, I'm not paying you until you, and Eddie denies it, right? And the other cross. So maybe we learn it from over there. The pasuk since repeats it by the case of the loan, what can be learned out, just like in that case was no Mashiach. So my answer is no. The case of the where the work was done. In other words, a case where Eddie made a kinyan on the Gemara, so therefore he's able to go ahead and take it, right? So he took the item and therefore made a kinyan with it. So Gemara says, "I haina pikadon." So Gemara says, "Trei gavnin pikadon." There's 2 cases of pikadon, right? One is someone who just deposits something. The other something is, okay, this will be the security, right? In case in case you don't go ahead and pay me what you owe me. So if that's the case, so why don't you go ahead and repeat the case of the loan? So take the case of the loan is that I needed collateral. I took Eddie's watch, and then and then I gave it back to him. So in other words, there was a kinyan in it. So Gemara says, so if the pasuk repeated it, so therefore there's no no question and right. No source. But now that the pasuk does not go ahead and repeat it, it must be, we can learn now that since there was no Mashiach, therefore there was no kinyan, and therefore his denial of it is not an effective denial in order to be chayiv and asher.
The guy also has to do Mashiach
right, in order to acquire it. And that would be a proof for Reish Lakish. And Vatanya, 1 second. Right. So you say over there, so it says, I Vatanya, we're learning a bais. It says over there, Amar Rabbi Shimon, Minayin Lite, is Ain Lamala Lamata. Right, did I skip line with you? All right, I got kind of by some Rabbi Shimon. But Rabbi Shimon says, no, wait. Even there's two psukim, but how do we know to apply that which is written above also to the the four above also to the four below? The passage says, "Oh, Mikol Asher Yishba love the Shakir." Oh, comes to include even case of loan, so it is included. So and therefore that comes to include Tzimasiad. So the Gemara, in other words, to go ahead and returning it, that he has to go ahead and return it. So the Gemara says, yes, Enachinami, that the loan is reference to it, but Lamaisa didn't list it, and therefore, since it didn't list it, therefore it's we can learn out, perhaps according to Reish Lakish, that only if you do Mashicha, that's when you go ahead and acquire it. And Masnisen, where is this brisa that supports Reish Lakish? So Minolan. So the Tani, when the brisa says Nasa Lavla, person goes ahead, he wants to go to a bathhouse, he takes his kesef, which was money which was consecrated, right, to the hektish, and also I go ahead and use it to get into the shvitz. So once I give it to him, then I'm mal, right? Only if I go.
What money is this? Money that was pledged to Beis Hamikdash?
Yeah, a hektish money. Now, so I violated an elog once I give it to the attendant. Here's my to go in. So that is case when I give it to a bathhouse attendant, and that was because when I give the money, there's no other kinyan. It's not like I'm buying something. I have to go ahead and get the item. It's me entering into the bath. So there is no Maisa kinyan. So therefore, me giving the money affects the kinyan. About media sounds dafka belonu deloy mechas mashicha. About media but something else, the mechas mashicha, which if I'm buying something using kesef hektish, then lo mo shemasha, right? And then I would not go ahead and violate until there's a kinyan. So over here, right? What's the proof? Dafka over here, you violate Me'ilah, but normally you don't violate Me'ilah until there's mashicha. Why? Because mashicha makes the kinyan and not kesef. Tanya, then the Bryce says, Nasal Safar Amal. You give money to your barber, right? Then you violated me. So the Safar high, but the Mashiach dispersed, but he has to go ahead and give me a haircut, right? So there is a mice that's supposed to follow. So why you give it over in the first place? The answer is, we're talking about one who's not Jewish, the Lav Bar Mashiach. Then when it comes to Goyim, then money is effective in doing the Kinyan, and you do not require Mashiach. And Tanya, we learn the Bali Umnos. If you go ahead, you give to a barber or a carpenter or any other sort of trade, right? Such a person, he does not go ahead and violate until he does Mashiach. So, you just said the case of barber, you violated right away. So the Gemara answers, must be. There's a difference in us when it comes to one who's a nachri, so therefore it's giving over the money because that's how kinyanim work by a guy. But when it comes to a yid, so therefore since there's a ma'ase afterwards, therefore you got to go ahead and wait till Mashiach. V'chein Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says not like but actually like Rabbi Yochanan. Davar Torah Ma'is Kanos. He says money acquires even midaraisa. Ubad Levi, and Levi heard his lima. Then he tried to go ahead and confirm or find a proof to see this is true. And he found a brayso that says person goes ahead and he gives money to a person who's a wholesaler, right? He's a Chanvani Godol, right? He's like a wholesaler, middleman, right? So once he gives him money, then he is mal. Right, he is mal right away. There's no kinyan required. Clearly you see that most is konos because he's violated right there. There was, the money was already misappropriated right for giving money. It was kinda. So Ella kashi the reish lakish, kashi reish lakish. Turn the page. Some of the reish lakish. Hamani Rabbi Shimon. This is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon we saw in the Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon, the Mishnah clearly says that money does not go ahead and make the kinyan, but nevertheless, reish lakish, remember, is arguing in the Tanakama to say that no, it's Mashiach is required and not money. Right. So therefore, it's the opinion of Rabbi Shimon.
Don't forget to drink your coffee.
I know, I already had some. I'm very mishakal doing Eddie's question. So we say 2 lines from the top. I kept it down. He was asking a question, so I kept it low. Didn't want to be disrespectful. So Amra Misha part of a So a person says he violates his word, right? He gets cursed. Abaye says, we just inform him that there is a curse for a person who basically doesn't go ahead and keep his words. And Rav Omar, Malik Laitina Le, we go ahead and give him a curse. Abaye Omar, which is important. The pasuk says, "V'nasi b'yamcha loisar." You right, and a nasi, right, a prince or whatever, right, amongst your nation, you shall not curse. And therefore, we only inform the person. We don't actually curse him. And Rabba, no, we go ahead and curse him. The Amcha says someone of your nation. But when he's acting like someone of your nation, then you don't curse him. But if a person is doing something which really is an action of something who's not Ma'isa Amcha, then you can go ahead and curse him. And Amar Rabba Minamina, how do we know this? The Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef, you have a Zuzeh Milsa. So Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef, he was a merchant who used to go ahead and sell salt. So someone once gave him money for salt. And then ultimately the salt went up. He never delivered it yet. Now the salt went up, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want to go ahead and sell it for $4 a pound. He wants to go ahead and sell it for $4.30 a pound. So he didn't want to go. Hey, he says, I'll just give you your money back. So also come into Rabbi Yechon, Zil Havluhu. Go ahead and give the man his salt. You made a deal. And if not, then you accept upon yourself a curse. Now, if you say that we inform. What Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef What, he doesn't know the halacha that it was cursed. So what does he inform? Of course, we didn't. It wasn't the case of informing him. We curse him. So Gemara says, "Elamai Mali like Tinale, he's going to be cursed." Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef also the Kabili Alei Letusa Derabanan. But Rabbi Chia, right, would do something that would allow himself to be cursed. So what's going on here? Ela Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef Arvon Hu the Ivile. Right. In other words, we're talking about Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef got a down payment. And how to treat a down payment. In other words, he got money. The total sale was $100, and he got $40. And all of a sudden, the price went up. He says, I'll give you $40 back. You didn't pay for it all, so then I'll get your money back. Mm-hmm. And that was the machlokes over there. Who's ever can I do it kind of? Or maybe it's just that he wanted to give back the $6. So Rabbi Yosef says that Kenegdu Kaina. When he gives him $40, then he secured $40, but the other $60 of salt didn't need to have to be returned. So therefore, he didn't want to give it back. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan had to tell him. No. When he gives you $40, he actually acquires the whole thing, and you got to give him the rest of $60 of the salt. And speaking of which, Itamar, Arvon, a down payment. Rav Omar Kenegdu Ukaida. Rav says the down payment is only Kenegdu Ukaida. Rabbi Yochanan Omar Keneged Kula. When he gives a down payment, it's for the entire amount Ukaida. So Meis Vesukasha on the shita of Rav, which says Kenegdu Ukaida. So I know you said Arvon Lechaver, one who goes out and gives a down payment to his friend. He says, hey, if I go back, here's a down payment. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to, here's money. I owe you more money. If I don't go ahead and follow up, then you can keep my down payment. In other words, the guy had every intention to fulfill it. He was so confident that he was going to go ahead and fulfill it. He says, you can keep it in case I'm not. But the other one says, right? The other says, you know what? If I don't follow through, I'll return it and I'll double it. I'll pay you twice the amount back. These kaimo tanaim, their conditions are fulfilled. In other words, we believe why? Because Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yosef is a Tame, Doma, who holds a smachta kanya. That's something. And a smachta is kanya. In other words, someone believes that something is going to go ahead and happen. So therefore, even though remember he didn't have the hindsight to see that it wasn't going to happen, nevertheless, if he says it, then we trust it. In other words, we don't say that the other shita would be a smachta loikanya. In other words, when I said I'm going to go be at your house by 2:00 and I'm going to do it, I'll give you $1 million. So the guy who says it doesn't think, right, that he's actually going to be late, and therefore didn't want to be chayiv. Had I known I wasn't going to be there at 2:00, he never would have said it. But the other one says no. The Maisa he said it, and therefore a smachta kani according to Rabbi Yossi. But nevertheless, let's go back to our point. And Rabbi Huda Imer dayo sheyikne keneged arvon. So that case there, he's kind of connected the arvon. And others should make only a b'medvar burim, right? It's only next to down payment. What was it we're talking about? Bisman shaymelo arvoni yiko. When he says, right, that this down payment will go ahead and acquire. V'machalo bias or sada bel of zuz, but let's say he sells him a house or a field for $1,000, upara lo meham chamesh. When he gives a $500 zuz, kana umachzilo as a shot. Right, he acquires the whole thing, and he has to pay him the other $500. After many years. So my love, who didn't limit him. right, isn't now referring to even the metaltlim, the mastama kana lahu lakulu, that in other words, he acquires all of it, just like in the case of the house of the field, when he gives him a down payment, then he has to go ahead and pay the rest of the money, even after many years. So to buy metalton, you give the money, you acquire the entire object, and therefore you have to pay it. We don't say, hey, you gave, I hate when they use 500 because it's complicated. Well, the guy gave $400, right? So we don't, so according to this case, he gave $400. So the guy has to ultimately pay the other $600. As opposed to say, you only get $400, you only get $400 of land, I'm keeping the other $600 and I can do whatever I want with it. We don't say that. So Gemara says, Samai lav who did the metaltlim is the same thing as the metaltlim of objects, and we see that the arvon, right? He has to pay the entire thing. He's not kind of shenegdo. The Gemara says, lo, metaltlim is stumble like honey. No, metaltlim, the other is like honey. Umaishna karka, what's the difference between land? Because land, the kaspa kani le mamish, all right, kani lekula. So since land can be acquired through money, so therefore the money acquires the whole thing. However, metaltlin, like kani lekabule mishapara, but when I go ahead and by metaltlin, right? In other words, you can't just give money. The worst case, you can't acquire the object through money. Worst case scenario is you acquire to the point of that if you're chayzer, you get cursed of mishapara. So therefore, you're not kind of the entire amount. You're only kind of, according to Rav, connected kulo with metalton. So therefore, you can't. The case of a sada or bias, which was in the brisa, is different than metalton. So therefore, that's the only case of the kabuli mishapara like kani le kule. He doesn't hold any. So the Gemara says, "Leimo kitanoi." Let's say it's a machlokas tanaim whether a down payment acquires the whole thing or is just kind of connected. So hamalves chaver al mashkon. A person goes ahead and lends somebody money. So Avrami lends me money. Thank you very much. Al mashkon, and I give you my golf clubs as a mashkon. V'nichnasa hashmita, and all of a sudden shmita comes. Yeah, so shmita comes. And Shemitah cancels loans, but it doesn't cancel if there's a collateral, right? Now,
if somebody gave a deposit.
So that's what we're talking about. So now let's see. So Apple Pishain is Shove. So let's say I borrow $1,000. My club's only worth $400. So Apple Pishain is Shove. Ella Pulag only half or close to half. I don't use half because it gets confusing. Eno Mishamate. It does not cancel. So it sounds like Rav Shimon says, my $400, right, or whatever, the value or from me, right, the $400 value really secures the entire 1,000.
So Shemitah is not chal.
Right. In other words, that this loan is not canceled, like someone's like like a prusbul, right? And Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says, Im haya mashkan can I get hava? So if the mashkan was worth the entire hava, and mashamit, then it does not cancel. However, then Mishamit, then his loan is cancelable like all other loans of Shemitah. Now, what does it mean? My Aina Mishamit to come to Rosh Hashanah. What does it mean Rosh Hashanah says, right, it's not canceled? If we mean that in other words, it's not canceled, the $400 of the loan is not canceled.
And $600 gets wiped
away. Oh, no, that's wiped away. Mechlal, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi argued, right? He would hold that what? That it was $1,000 that Rabbi gave me, and since the collateral is only $400, it would be canceled. What's the argument? It means the entire thing would be canceled. In other words, that if Rabbi doesn't get any of his $1,000 back, right? Not even the $400. That doesn't make sense because I gave him something to secure at least $400 of the loan, so he should at least get back $400, right? But if you hold that which Rabbi Shimon says it's not canceled, right? And Rabbi Yehuda's arguing this on the same points, and he says it is canceled. And if we're talking about that $400, it doesn't make sense. Ella, right? What should you say? Mashkon denaki lamali. So why is he holding it mashkon? Ella, rather let's just say this. Let's just go down a couple lines. Ella shmami ne my Misham. What does it mean when the Rosh Gamliel said? What does it mean when Rosh Gamliel says Eina Mishamit? Eina Mishamit bekulo. Maybe what he means is it's not canceled. I mean the entire loan is not canceled, but the $400 is still secure. Umay Mishamit. And what does it mean when it's canceled to come Rabbi Yehuda Nasi? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, Lach Palga delay nakile alabashka. That was maybe over there that Rabbi Shimon holds the entire thing is not canceled, right? Because there's a mashkan for $400, and the other opinion holds no, only $400 is not canceled because one holds keneged kulo, and the other holds kenegdo. Ubav Biflagi, the Rav Shigel Meal Savar Kenegdo. Excuse me, Keneged Kulo Hukaida, right? But Shigel Meal says it's Keneged Kulo the entire amount. So therefore, the $400 collateral secures the entire $1,000 loan. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Savar Kenegdo Hukaida, only the $400 it secures. And the Gemara answers, "Lo, no." We'll deflect that. My Amashami. What does it mean? It's not canceled. The Kamar Shingam Leal. Lahach Palga the Naki the Leb B'Mashkan. Right? No. There are no words. It's not canceled. Meaning the $400 is not canceled. Certainly the $600 isn't. Certainly the Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. It's all canceled. Right? Mechlal Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Savar Lahach Palga the Naki the Leb Mashkan. Nami Mashami. Even the $400 is canceled for Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. So if that's the case, our question is Ela Mashkan the Naki Lamali. So why does he even take a Mashkan? Right? Why is he a mashkon? Why take a mashkon in the first place if I don't have to pay it back? So our answer is lizichon devarim biyam. In other words, it's like a reminder that and in my golf clubs I had to go ahead and pay him back. So he only took it not as a way to secure the loan during Shemitah. He just took it as a way so I would remember to go ahead and pay the money back. All right, we'll stop here.
How is
Okay.
it that
Everyone have a wonderful day. Yeah.
Yehuda Hanasi is arguing that
His
his father, that's his father.